Hello. Thank you for listening. This near death experience is from Stephen, and it happened in 2000. Open quote. I came home from work really late in the morning, around 3 in the morning. I had to get up early that morning because I had to go to the bank, and it was Saturday. I went in, got my paycheck cashed, then I went to a restaurant and had a wonderful meal. Then I drove back into town on the service street to go to a counseling appointment because I was trying to get my life back together. I came underneath the overpass of a freeway and I was coming to the intersection where the green light was in my favor. I looked and no one was in the intersection. I probably got a quarter way into the intersection and noticed out of my peripheral on my left side this driver was going at a very, very high rate of speed. They later estimated his speed to be almost 65 or 75 miles per hour. He impacted the driver's side of my car, and that slid me around the telephone pole, probably about 10 to 15 feet away. My car was literally wrapped around the pole. The car I was in had a separate lap belt from the shoulder belt. The lap belt was literally cutting into my body, and all I remember after looking at my windshield and seeing it all crashed out was this young man. I don't know who he was. He was in blue coveralls. He reached through the car, looked, and saw that the lap belt was cutting into me. He grabbed onto the lap belt and pulled it away from me, probably about 5 to 6 inches. And I know for a fact that lap belt was locked, so you couldn't have done that. He took a knife and he slit the lap belt and removed it. From there, I blacked out again. Next thing I know, there's a paramedic sitting in the passenger seat with me, talking to me really softly. He told me he was going to put a surgical collar on me, and he does. Then he tells me about the jaws of life and how they're going to have to cut the car away from me to get me out of the car. I said, okay. And he managed to remove my left arm, which was locked in like a death grip on the steering wheel. He placed my hand in my lap and put a sheet over me, and he climbed under the sheet with me, and he told me that I was going to hear some noise. I heard some loud noises outside the car. The jaws of life were pretty hard, and it shook the car. The driver's door popped open within a few minutes. They laid a backboard in the car, and the paramedic says, "We got blood." I didn't know where I was bleeding from or what I was bleeding from. I had a scalp laceration, but what I believed was I had blood coming out of my ear. I was literally dying right there. They laid me carefully on the backboard and taped my head to the backboard, and then they put the backboard on a gurney. They wheeled me probably about 15 feet away to the ambulance. I remember that the back doors to the ambulance were open. I also remember that it was so bright that I told the paramedics that I needed to close my eyes. He said that I needed to keep my eyes open. I told him that I needed to close my eyes, and I closed my eyes, and I remember a bump going back into the ambulance, and the ambulance disappeared. I remember seeing myself above the ambulance. I saw where the accident was, where the police cars were, where the fire department officials were, the people cleaning up the glass. I even saw where the guy that hit me was, his car. I saw them working on him, getting his road rash on his arm from the airbag, and that was it. Next thing I know, it's like Star Trek, in a warp speed kind of thing. I was literally flown. Maybe flown is not a good word. I was transported fast into the light. I went into this room that had no dimensions, but had a 360-degree movie screen around me. These light bodies came up to me. This one light body came up to me and looked at me and asked me one question 4 times. Throughout this whole entire time, I am watching my whole entire life review going on all around me, and I'm thinking, okay, this is not a good thing. I'm seeing everybody I'm beating up. I'm seeing everybody I'm yelling at, lying to. I'm watching their faces, and their faces are morphing into me. So I'm lying to myself, or I am beating myself up, or stealing from myself. This light being is asking me these 4 questions, and the questions are, who are you? I told the person who I was. I told him straight out who I was. I'm Stephen. The light being shook their head and asked me again, who are you? I went into the light angry, and I was pissed that I died. I felt I had more stuff to do on Earth. I was really violently angry, so I told the light body this. I said, don't you blank know who I am? I told him who I was again. He went, who are you? I'm saying he, but I don't know if it was a he or she. I'm watching my whole life flash before my eyes, and it's starting to sink in who I am. I tried to tell him what job I did. The light being asked me for the 4th time, who are you? I finally said the most intelligent thing in the world. I said, I don't know. I don't know who I am. The light being nodded its head, and it said, you are love. That's all you are. You are nothing more than love. The anger that I had washed completely away from me. I looked at my life image and I judged myself as not worthy to be there. I asked and I said, I'd like to stay. They said, maybe another time, but not now. You have a mission to do on Earth, and you must do it. No one else can do it but you. I thought about it and I said, okay, I'll do it. My mission is basically to share my story down here on the Earth, to tell everybody that they are loved too. I told the light body that I would do my mission. It said, we will be in touch once more. Next thing I know, I'm feeling cold metal on my back, and I thought that was an odd feeling. Then I heard this man's voice on my right side, where most of the damage to my body was, and he said, okay, you're back with us. You're going to hear some noise. Don't worry, you're safe. Then I heard a shoop sound going through my head, and what I found out was that they were stapling my scalp back together. I spent about 8 hours in the trauma room, at least my body did. I would say I spent about 2.5 hours in the light. My whole life before and my whole life now are totally different. In 2011, I was meditating one time and I heard this voice in my head say, hello. I thought I was going crazy. I was going to call a psychiatrist and tell him to please put me on some medicine. This voice came into my head and said, hello, it is time. Your mission is now. Then I remembered. I remembered everything that happened with the accident. I remembered what I needed to do, and I have literally been sharing this with whoever will hear me. End quote. That's a great story. There's a couple questions, but the answers are kind of short. I'll read a couple of them. Question: during your experience, did you gain information about universal connection or oneness? Answer: yes. We are love. Love is all caps. Question: during your experience, did you gain special knowledge or information about your purpose? Answer: yes. Purpose is to share my story. Did you fear death prior to your experience? Answer: I greatly feared death. Do you fear death after your experience? Answer: I do not fear death. It's a great story. Interesting, that conversation with the light being, the life review. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.